Now it's time to see how we can read and write to files. And files are used when you want to store information and when you want to retrieve that information in your program, maybe to display it in your program. And for that I created a file. I'm going to click on the left hand side on project. And I created here a file called employees.txt, which stores the information of some employees. And if you wonder how I created this file, I just right click on the hello world folder. I go to new and I selected this file. And I gave a name to the file, and then I introduce some data in the file. Now, I'm gonna close this because I don't need the project pane, and we're gonna remember the name because we're gonna use the name to open the file. And I'm gonna delete this code because I don't need this code. Now, let's see how we can open the file and how we can retrieve the data from that file that we saw. And for that, we need to use a command, and the command is open, which is basically a function. And here we need to specify the path of the file. And this path can be a relative path or an absolute path. And in our case, because both the file and the Python file, the app file that we have here, are in the same directory, we can put directly here the name of the file, and that is going to open the file. So let's close now the project pane. And if we put here employee, and we have a suggestion, IntelliJ is helping us, and you say, do you mean employees text file? And yes, I'm going to press enter to fill in that for us. Now, next we need to specify the mode, and the mode can be either to read. So the first mode that we can use is the read, and this is basically going to allow us only to read the file. It's not going to allow us to change anything in the file. The second one is called write, so not here. And the second one is called write, so this is used when you want to write to the file. And there is also A, and A is for appending. So, and this is used when you want to put data into the file at the end of the file. And with this you can append the new data into the file with the append. The next one is R+, and R+ basically means read and write. And for our case, I'm going to use only R to read the file. And it's also important to store this file in a variable. So I'm going to type here employee underscore employees underscore text. I'm going to put equals, because it's important to open the file, but it's also important to close the file after we're done doing our work. So we're going to type here employees.text dot, and we have the close function to close the file. Now let's see how we can read the file, but before we do that, I'm going to add a print line here, and I'm going to say employees.text dot readable, and this readable function is going to return either true or false, and it's going to return true if you can read from the file, and it's going to return false if you can't read from the file. So now if I run this code, you get true. And if I change this to let's say A, to see what happens, we get false, because now we can't read from the file, we can only append data to the file. So let's change this back to R. Now let's see how we can get data from the file. And to get data from the file, we're going to use a few functions, and the first one is called read, and this function is going to return all the data that is in the file. So now if I run this print statement that we have here is going to return all the data from our file. So if I run this, we have our data, so, and it's beautiful. We have Maria, software developer, John, web developer, Jim, software developer, Anna, software developer. We have a lot of good developers here. So this is how you can read the entire file. But what if you want to read only a line, only the first line of the file? In that case, you need to use something else, and you need to use another function. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to type read lines. And this read lines function is gonna read the first line, and it's gonna act like a cursor, because it will read the first line of the file. It will move like a pointer to the next line of data, and it's gonna continue from that point to read the file. So now if I put here employees.txt read lines, and if I run this, you'll get only Maria software developer. But if I press Ctrl D to duplicate that line of code, now, because as I said, this acts like a pointer, and it will go to the next line to read the next line of file. Now this will gonna return the next line of data that is in our file. So if I run this now, we get first Maria software developer, then we get John web developer. And if I press Ctrl D and another Ctrl D, if you look, you get Maria software developer, John web developer, Jim software developer, and Anna software developer. So this works like a pointer. It goes from line to line to line. So when you read the first line, it will go to the next line when you call read line again. And now what we can also do, if I delete this, let's delete this, let's run this. So you get Maria software developer. There is also something else that we can do, and with the read line function we can get lines of data from our file, but there is another function called read lines with which you can achieve the same thing, but this read lines function is gonna return all the lines from our file. And what we can do is that we can put here at the end square brackets, and we can specify an index. So if I specify here now 0, because this returns all the lines, this is now gonna return the first element in our file. So if I run this, get Maria software developer. But if I put here another index, let's say 2, and if I run this, we get Jim software developer. And if I delete this, now I will get all the data, and we get all the data in the form of a list. So we have Maria software developer, and we have this is added for to have a space, to have a line space, and we have this in a list. And because this is in a list, I already showed you, you can use the index operator here, and you can get individual elements from the list. So you can put 0 to get an element. So if you run this, or you can put let's say 3 to get an element, and we get Anna software developer. And this is how we can read lines from our files. Next, we're gonna see how we can write to our files.